Hello, Mayor of Los Angeles. This is a live broadcast of the Mayor of Los Angeles while it's under military occupation. Do we want to, like, maybe professionalize a little bit?
Thanks, Zach. So when we look at what happened last night in our city, yesterday afternoon, last night, who's to blame for that?
Well, I mean, I just have to say, dial back time to Thursday. None of this needed to happen. Why did we need to have raids here? It was very clear that if raids happened here, that the community was going to respond in a very negative way. I tried to make that case. Unfortunately, I didn't succeed. I was very hopeful that we would not have, that the federal government would not have deployed the National Guard. But anyway, I think it's important, period, that peaceful protest is a part of our American tradition. When it results to violence, it will be addressed as though it is violence. People will be arrested and they will be held accountable.
You said Thursday. Did you mean Friday?
No, I meant Thursday, meaning before the raid. The raid happened on Friday. Everything was fine in the city. Just think about that. We weren't having problems with protests. There were no problems with violence. The raids happened on Friday, and in response to especially the arrest of David Huerta, one of the most respected labor leaders that we have in the city, him being injured, going to a hospital.
Still in federal custody.
Yes, he's still in federal custody. If I understand it right, his arraignment is today. But all of that creates fear and tension in our city. And you know, we have to think about the families on Friday. 3 different workplaces where raids took place. Many of those family members have not been in contact with their relatives. They don't know where their relatives are still here. Are they in Southern California? Have they been shipped to a country that maybe they don't even know? And so the
Okay, it seems like somebody had a talk with her, because I remember what the shit she was saying late last night, and it seems like her tone's changed a little bit. Look, these leaders are never, ever, ever, ever going to condone looting and rioting. Why would they? It's ridiculous to expect that they would. The best thing leaders like this can do is to either ignore the looting and rioting or acknowledge that it's an inevitable consequence of social unrest, and that to fixate on it is to ignore the fundamental cause, right? Was there looting and rioting during BLM? Yes. Whose fault is that? The police's, for a variety of reasons. Social unrest causes looting and rioting. That's what it does. It does that every time, in every country, in every time period. Go back 1,000 years, go forward 1,000 years. That's how it works. You have to look at the underlying cause. Was there looting and rioting on Thursday? No. What happened on Friday? ICE. So, there you go. I appreciate that she's pointing this out here. I hate the hand-wringing, the pearl-clutching, the, violence is unacceptable. You can expect them to say that. And listen, okay? I think it's unrealistic. There are some lefties who are like, well, they should condone it or whatever. No. If you start, like, burning Waymo cars on the street, as based and red-pilled as that is, obviously you're going to attract denunciations, which is one of the reasons why there are some kinds of antagonistic engagement from the protesters that I support, and some kinds that, I'm not going to fixate on it, but you're not helping things. The car burning, I'm not going to fixate on it. You're not really helping things, You're kind of just having fun. Let's not pretend this is part of, like, principled civil disobedience. You're just kind of being wacky with it. But everyone gets the right to be wacky with it now and again, okay? Look, it's fine, I guess. But, what I care about is the direction of the messaging. The real enemy here is ICE, okay? Even more so than the LAPD. The LAPD are bastards, murderous bastards. But the ultimate enemy here is ICE, the federal government. I said this yesterday, but Kamala Harris's messaging on this is unironically really good. Can't believe I'm saying that. Really don't like this woman. This is the only thing she said, by the way. Los Angeles is my home, and like so many Americans, I'm appalled at what we're witnessing on the streets of our city. Deploying the National Guard is a dangerous escalation meant to provoke chaos. In addition to the recent ICE raids in Southern California and across the nation, it's part of Trump's cruel, calculated agenda to spread panic and division. This administration's actions are not about public safety, they're about stoking fear. Fear of a community demanding dignity and due process. Protests a powerful tool, essential in the fight for justice. As the LAPD mayor and governor have noted, demonstrations in defense of our immigrant neighbors have been overwhelmingly peaceful. I continue to support the millions of Americans who are standing up to protect their most fundamental rights and freedoms. It's actually a good statement, So that's the kind of thing I want to see. That's the line that I want to see. I do not expect the, chief at LAPD to go out there and say, like, oh yeah, the looting and rioting is just, the voice of the unheard or whatever. I do want consistent messaging. It seems like she understands this to an extent, but I wonder if there's been some clarity of communication between last night and this morning, because last night there was a lot more of this, you know, we support peaceful protesting, but this violence is unacceptable, in response to some, you know, Waymo cars getting burnt, like anyone gives a shit.
Ability that creates. And we went through this before in the last administration. The last Trump administration.
Have you spoken to President Trump? Have you spoken directly to the administration?
I have spoken directly to the administration. I have not spoken to President Trump. I might reach out to him in the next few days.
Have they been responsive to you explaining why this isn't going to work in the city of Los Angeles, and that, as we're seeing, the city is going to resist this?
Well, I felt, first of all, that they were accessible, that they were responsive. However, the National Guard came anyway.
But about the National Guard, Trump has promised 2,000 members.
Right.
I heard yesterday there was about 300.
Right.
You're still feeling as though the National Guard, Trump calling the National Guard...
As of right now, there's about 1,000 National Guardsmen in the city. I think. That's the last number that I saw.
That's what's responsible for yesterday? Because
No. I'm saying Friday is what was responsible for yesterday. This was a buildup. You know, our city was peaceful before the raids took place. So you are correct. He called for 2,000 soldiers. There's 200 in the city of Los Angeles and another 100 in the adjacent city of Paramount.
But
more
let's
now.
talk about what we saw yesterday,
Right.
and then in the afternoon and then into the evening. Some really ugly scenes.
This reporter, who's this reporter from? Does anyone know which outfit it is? Is this ABC7 here to haunt me again? This reporter wants to talk about the rowdy teenagers burning Waymo cars.
Vandalism, violence in our city. Do you blame...
By the way, the violence was by the LAPD. They got straight up caught on film with a murder attempt, trying to trample a guy who was downed, no threat to them, with horses. You can kill a person like that, easily with that. You try to trample a person with horses, that's about as reliable. I mean, you might as well run them over with a car. No one would be questioning it'd be murder attempt if they were running him over with a car. Just a guy laying on the road.
President Trump for that?
No, well, let me just be clear. I blame the people that were creating the violence. What happened last night was absolutely unacceptable.
This is expected. You can expect this. I'm not happy about rhetoric like this, but I expect it. Okay, hold on.
Period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you support the rights of immigrants to reside here lawfully, then you don't go around vandalizing the city. And so to me, if that's really what you believe in, you would not be out doing what took place last night.
By the way, just to be clear, like, focusing on optics aside, what she's saying, strictly speaking, is correct. The group of people who were protesting in the early day and the group of people who were running around, like, breaking into stores late at night are two different groups of people. Like, obviously. There were thousands and thousands of people marching between the Federal Detention Center and City Hall early in the day. They were peaceful protesters. The worst they did, like, someone throws like a tin can at the cops. I don't care, okay? Wow. They were protesters. But inevitably, in any environment of civil unrest, late at night, people get wacky with it. You know? Yeah, some people start stealing Jordans or whatever. I think you can ride the line on this. You can say, focusing on the latter as though it takes away from the former, like that one ABC anchorman who said it really distracts from the messaging of the protests for there to be like two guys looting later in the night. That guy. That's fascist shit. You delegitimize every protest. Shit like that, you'd be against the civil rights protests. Easily, you would be. Oh yeah, 20,000 Negroes, they were marching for their rights, but afterwards there were a couple of guys who were spray painting. Did they have spray paint in the 60s? Did they have that? Anyway, the messaging is tagged. No one respects MLK anymore. Let's say, yeah? I actually don't know if they did. I have no idea whether or not that tech existed. They spray painted cars? No, I mean in the 60s. It was invented in 1949? Okay. That's kind of cool. It's weird to think about. You let one slip? Are you guys never read like a history book? You people are embarrassing. You guys reading an MLK Jr. speech. And he said, the white man and the N-word man must live together equally. Well, come on, grow the fuck up. Stupid pieces of shit. Oh, right, I forgot you people are illiterate. I forgot the modern state of the American. That's what you would say! You think N-word man is funny? That's your ass! In high school. That's you trying not to get clipped in your 9th grade history class. I'm on to you. What the f was I saying? I completely forget what tangent I was on.
I also know that you want to send the message that what we saw in downtown last night is in downtown. It's not a citywide situation. What do you want to say about that?
Well, first of all, it's not even all of downtown. This is isolated to a few streets, 5 or 10 streets. This is not citywide civil unrest like has happened in our city before. But if you watch the pictures, especially on national TV, you would think that the entire city has blown up into unrest. And this.
Okay, somebody definitely had a talk with her. Somebody definitely had a talk with her. This is this is a definite change in tone since last night.
Is just not true.
Republicans, President Trump are using those images to say, we told you so, this is why we need the National Guard, some even threatening the Marines.
Well, the Marines are stationed nearby, and so we already have the military in our midst. But I really think we need to go back and look at...
By the way, the military did nothing last night. Remember, the National Guardsmen can't arrest people. They were only deployed to protect federal agencies. So they've just been like chilling around the detention center. Everything that happened last night, that was all LAPD, SD, and California Highway Patrol.
Norms and look at what policies and laws actually are, because I think the thing that is challenging in this administration is that you don't know where the line is. So if you're going to say that this is exactly why we need the National Guard, again, I'm going to go back to Thursday. Nothing was happening in this city.
It's hard to predict what happens next. We're hearing possibly 30 days of raids. What are you hearing, and how does this end? When does this end?
So let me just call your attention. Imagine what that means to families. Imagine how many adults are afraid to go to work because they don't know if they're going to be home to see their children, having no idea when and where these raids take place.
There was a girl in my 8th grade history class that tried to say, quote, N-word for the hard R, and my black history teacher got so mad, he made her read it again, and she tried to use the soft A. He looked so disappointed. That's based. Was your 8th grade history teacher, perchance, Samuel L. Jackson? That's based.
You create this sense of fear and terror in a population that is just completely unnecessary. When the president came in, he talked about arresting violent criminals. He talked about drug dens. He didn't talk about Home Depot. And so really day laborer centers at Home Depot where people are just trying to work and make a living, we're going to raid that? That's not what...
They got her. Guess they fired with a Predator drone or something. What? Okay. That's kind of weird. Look, it just cut in the middle of the... Okay. Well, moving on, I guess.